could review this book by Jaswant Singh on Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Without giving a thought to it, my instant answer was, yes, I will do it. Not realizing that I have to go through about 664 pages for presenting the review. Involves certain perceived notions about it. The book Jinnah, India, Partition, Independence by Jaswant Singh is one such book. To my knowledge, in recent history, is the first book, first biography of a political leader that has taken India by a storm. I'll not be presenting a review. I'll not be reviewing the book as such, but it is an humble effort of looking at this book quite dispassionately. The book about Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, one of the most charismatic leaders of South Asia, one of the most charismatic leaders South Asia has produced during past few centuries. His name, friends, the book under discussion is a great odyssey. This is how I have looked at it. That takes us through one of the most momentous and historic periods of the history of the Indian subcontinent and enables us to look dispassionately at the people who shaped it. But is not book of its first kind. There are many biographies on Qaid, some totally biased and detached from facts of history, some like the one by Dr. Rafiq Zakaria, the man who divided India, exuding with venom. There are some by his admirers, totally exaggerated, and some by passionate authors, like historians like Asha Jalal and Stanley Walport. The book under debate has not said much that has not been said earlier, but it gained importance and also credibility for it having been written by an Indian politician brought up in a hate culture of Hindutva. Had anybody else written this book, perhaps it would not have attracted that much of attention as it got, because it has been written by a person who has not strictly RS background, but he has been brought up in RSS culture. In my understanding, the first chapter of the book, titled as India and Islam, holds the key to the saga that unfolds in the subsequent chapters. In this chapter, the author has looked at the birth of Pakistan in the context of various Islamic movements that struck their roots in the subcontinent after the advent of Islam. He mentions about Sayyid Ahmad of Barewali, Sayyid Ahmad Khan, Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan, Sayyid Jamaluddin Afghani, Deoband movement, and other movements other Islamic movements in India. In a way, when we look at this very first chapter, you get a picture that these forces are definitely working towards something that would be in search of the identity for a nation that got created in this country after the advent of Islam. He discusses how these movements shaped the Muslim mind differently from the rest of the population in the region. The author in this chapter discusses in detail about 1857 happenings and how they shaped the mind of Muslim intelligentsia. The author writes, let me quote, such reform movements contributed then to gradual transformation of Indian Muslim community from aggregate of believers into political association with a will for joint action. When we see that it was not the Muslim League, it was the forces behind. It was the historical forces that were working behind the idea of Pakistan. Of loss of supremacy that we see in this chapter as providing grist to the mill of politics of identity. While analyzing politics of identity, Jaswant Singh writes that Minto's response was encouraging. It was his decision that Mohammedan community should be represented as a community in all affairs. This is what Jaswant Singh writes, this contributed to the separatist mentality So believes author of the book. It is in this scenario, politics in the subcontinent. The author recognizes this historical reality. In these words, he says, it is here that Muhammad Ali Jinnah arrived to etch his own, as also future of the Muslims of India on copper plate of time. Scholarship that has otherwise got drowned in the political cacophony that accompanied publishing of this book. The author very vividly tells us not only about the early life of Qaid Azam, but also at his emergence as a dominant political leader. Many of us, overzealousness, have been looking at Qaid Azam in a populist frame of so-called secular. We mostly try to that he was religiously tolerant, modern in his ideas, and forward-looking. But we see that from the day he joined politics, the interests of Indian Muslims have been very dear and sacred to him. The interests of Qaid Azam in Muslim affairs has not been a later day development. Majority of us, in our zealousness, try to project it that it was later day development. But Jaswant Singh, former Indian foreign minister, a person who has been brought up in a different culture, looks at perhaps from a perspective from which most of the Muslim historians or most of the Muslim biographers of Qaid Azam have not done. The interest of Qaid Azam has not been a later day development, but his political life began along with the joining of Anjuman Islam, a prominent Muslim body, in 1897. Jaswant Singh believes that this was fortuitous because this greatly helped him in public and legal career, especially when it came to the guidance about the role of Muslim in Congress. In the pages that follow, we see in the book, we see that Qaid Azam emerging as a great minaret dominating the skyline of Indian politics. Jinnah, as Frank Morris remembers him in his book, Witness to an Era, was highly considered and kind. Mostly the picture about Qaid Azam is presented that he was a very rude person and he would not tolerate people. This is Frank Morris's observation when he meets Qaid Azam. He says, I had heard tales of his rudeness, but over 15 years, I was to know him. He was never anything but a considered, often kind. What I believe, Gandhi, Jinnah, Nehru, Patel were contending with a force bigger than all of them put together. That is the historical force. They were more driven by history than by being its makers. If Muhammad Ali Jinnah would not have been there, the historical forces would have thrown up someone else as Muhammad Ali Jinnah to become the Qaid Azam and founder of Pakistan. With these words, I thank you very much, and if there are any questions, I would love to answer them. I said that the historical forces were working right from the day when Muhammad bin Qasim landed in Sindh. The historical forces started working at that time only for the identity of the people who embraced Islam. That's what right now Sayyid Sahib quoted Mahatma Gandhi saying that countries, it were either the Mughals or the British who brought them together.